My name's Qiana, and I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt here at Evolve. I got started in martial arts when Jay gave me a demo. He was telling me he was starting up a women's self-defense, and he gave me a demo about controlling my base if somebody was, pull on my arm or something like that. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing. Two come into mind. So when I was first starting, I was a white belt. Jay knew all these bouncers in the city, And so he would have these guys come in. So there were some big dudes, right? And I remember he had me working with one guy, and he was like, okay, Qiana, go ahead and take top mount. So I take top mount position, and this guy takes a deep breath, and my knees come off the floor. And I'm like, oh, he got me with the gorilla. I remember thinking, I was like, I could take him still. I could take him still. I was still super confident, even though I was a white belt, I was like, I know a little jiu-jitsu, but I know more than this guy, so I could take him, And then, of course, getting my black belt was definitely another memorable moment for me, because all the significance and just, 20 something years in, it was a big deal. Got it in 2022. It was really fun. It was really fun for me, and I think the group of people I was with and the community that was built around that was just very impactful. I'm still in contact and friends with a lot of people from day one, and I really couldn't see myself training anywhere else. And it was just one of those things that for the first time as a 21, 22-year-old, I was doing something just for me, just for fun. When I first started, I was wild. I was just trying to, make it as realistic as possible. So I was trying to use all my strength, and, even if it was escaping, if this was real, what would I do? And I'm spazzing out, right? And so now, I've definitely, grown and evolved from there. And so now everything is definitely much more intentional. I have a lot more focus and a plan of action for what I'm doing. So there's reasons behind what I'm doing as opposed to just going with the flow. Gosh, I think my first competition was 2003, 2004. It was a long time ago. Back then, the women's division was more scarce. I believe I was a super heavy, but super heavy was 156 pounds and up. Yeah, now it's I think 178 or something like that. There weren't that many women, that's for sure. I mean, this was the early 2000s. Jiu-Jitsu was still becoming on its way to being more mainstream. I had never heard of it when Jay told me. I didn't know what it was. I'd never seen UFC, so it was still gaining popularity, and so yeah. Jay was I think you'd be great at this, and actually, what lit the fire was we had an in-house tournament. Yeah. So just us who were training, we had our own little in-house tournament, and so we had a women's team, and we had an in-house tournament there, and I won, and I was okay, that was really fun. So he told me that there was a local competition. Of course, I'm nervous, but we all went out there and represented, and so it was one of those things that we just did as a team, and I think I got confidence going into it, not by myself. Hell no. Anytime he tells me you should compete, I'm no. I trust him, and I trust that he sees the potential in me, sees what I don't see, and honestly, a lot of times, when you feel that way, it will put you in a position to grow into who he sees you, or who you think he sees you as. So it makes you want to prove it to yourself. And I'm a strong believer, if I'm going to compete, I'm competing to win, man. So I'm not doing all this to not be on the podium. Mm-hmm. So, that motivated me too. Not a whole ton. I mean, I probably, just a handful. I want to say I did maybe 5 or 6 competitions. My last one was the U.S. Open in 2015, I think, because the year before was the Master Seniors that I did. Yeah. Jay asked, he was I need your guys' help. Beginning of the year, we were going through transitions, and so he asked people to if they could step up, but it wasn't something that was just an open call. He handpicked the people he was asking, and I just thought that was such a huge honor, because it's not the next step just because you have your black belt. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot into it, like, you know, loyalty to the gym and, you know, representing our culture correctly and understanding our systems, and, you know, being able to implement what the overall curriculum is that they see fit. And so I was super honored that they asked and cried when I had the opportunity. I mean, I was super excited to be able to like be on the other side of it. It felt very full circle, you know, not something I ever would have thought I would do, but I'm so glad that I'm in that position now. That was just starting this January. As a coach, what I really learned was like, I was like, wow, I really learned to appreciate, in a new way, I've always appreciated, but in a new way every fundamentals and just back to basics, because there's, every time, it's like reading your favorite book, every time you go back, like you find something else. Every time I teach a technique, even though we circle back in the curriculum, I always find another detail or another way to explain it, another way to kind of like make it click to somebody else, you know? So even though it's like, it's the same simple move, there's all these little nuances, and so there's just so much in the details. I've learned to really appreciate that. Honestly, I think the one thing I know I take from Jiu-Jitsu and implement in every aspect of my life is breath work, is breathing, and how important it is to stay calm in such a unpredictable situation, but also finding your way back to yourself and like having control over yourself, right? A lot of times, even when we're training, you never know where someone's mind's at, and it's easy to lose yourself, especially if you come in, you know, at the end of the day, or, you know, just from life or whatnot, and just being able to be present and be here right now, and being able to reel yourself in, you know what I'm saying? And have that control, and not let the situation take you where it wants to take you. You're controlling the situation instead of letting the situation control you. And it all starts with stopping and breathing. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, I mean, your breath, I can tell when, you know, you're holding your breath. I can tell when you're about to try to like explode, and like, for me, I could tell because the way you hold your breath, the way you fill up, or, you know, when people are overzealous and they're out of breath in moves that they shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? The breath gives away a lot, right? But it's also one of the main things that we can control. Slow down. Yeah, I mean, typical white belt, right? Like, don't be spastic, slow down. I mean, you know, there was a lot of years where I was just more in a meditative state, and I would just like let myself fall into whatever position I was falling into. And then one day, I'm training with Coach Dwight, and he was asking Jay something that happened in his role, and I remember like leaning over to him, and I'm like, "You remember what happened in your role?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, Jay, you did this, and then I did that, and you did this." I was like, "I don't remember anything in my role," and I was like, oh my God. So I made the effort to like be way more present, way more conscious, and it just helped like shape my game, you know? But yeah, I would tell myself to like slow down, master the basics, you know, don't rush to do all the fancy things, right? Don't let your mind go through all these what if scenarios. Like, just focus on what's being taught right here and master this, you know? But yeah, slowing down is always a good advice.
I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.